This is the brand new 1850 PSI electric pressure washer from the Cat brand. And the awesome thing about the Cat brand of electric pressure washers is that they are actually produced by Active pressure washers. Now this unit was sent to me by Active, so I appreciate you guys for doing that. This is a 100% honest review. I'm gonna tell you the real numbers, real quality of what I actually think of it. And at the end of the video, I will be giving this thing away, so make sure to stay tuned so you don't miss out on how to enter in for a chance to win this. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Active pressure washers is known to make some of the most cost-effective, best performing for car detailing electric pressure washers. They started off with the Active VE52, which got phenomenal numbers, and then they upgraded that to the Active 2.0. They still have both options, but the 2.0 has a longer life cycle and some beefier inner components so that you can get more out of it. Again, guys, that Active 2.0 is known to be kind of the best value in electric pressure washers for car detailing. You're getting the same kind of performance as the AR630s or the Kranzle machines, or at least very, very close to it, at $350 versus the AR I think is $700 to $800, and then the Kranzles are obviously over $1,000. So awesome, awesome value. This is the new one from their lineup, but produced for Cat. So we're gonna check it out and see how it performs. So let's talk about a couple of the specs really quickly because it confuses me a little bit. Active is known for their high performance pressure washers. Again, this one is for Cat, so they may requested certain specs that they wanted for this thing. But basically this is a 3-piston pump, which the Active VE52 and the original Cat machine, which is the same as the Active VE52, as well as the Active 2.0, all come with a 5-piston pump. And on their website, they actually state that the 5-piston pump gets about 30% more performance than a 3-piston pump. Now this thing, like I said, is rated at 1850 PSI, but it does show at initial discharge. So we'll test that and see what the actual usable PSI is. And then it also is rated at 1.4 gallons per minute. The design of this thing is very, very cool. I like it a lot. Just a nice, simple system here. Stand straight up. You can actually put your gun right in the front of it, which is a nice feature. Obviously, just a big toggle switch on, off on the right here. You have your water outlet valve here, and your water inlet is around the back. So I like that. It's nice that it's on 2 different sides. I prefer it, one side and then one side here, so it's just a complete pass-through. But still, having it on 2 different sides is fine with me. Nice wheels, just hard plastic. Does come with a little soap blaster, which is nice. And this thing is great because it comes fully assembled, guys. The only thing that wasn't on there is this piece, but this literally just slides in and just pops right down, and then you have your little foam blaster holder. The handle on this thing is awesome. You just have this little release button here. You just push that. I'm just trying to do it one-handed. There you go. Flips up, and then it stays in there, and you can actually use it to pull it around. So really, really cool there. I like that. And then additionally, we do have a 35-foot power cord with a ground fault interrupt plug and a 20-foot non-marring hose. Unfortunately, though, this is an M22 by 15 connection point. So that's what this is going to be set up for too. So if you want to replace the hose and go with a different hose, I obviously always recommend the Uberflex hose. If you're concerned about the length, I don't know what this thing is really made for. Sometimes the longer length can add a little bit more back pressure when you stop it with that total release or a total stop system. But the blue one is my favorite. It comes in 50 feet, and then you can also get some shorter ones, some 35 footers, I believe, as well. So I'll link all that stuff in the description for you guys. But when you do use this, you are gonna have to get an adapter because this is an M22 by 14 connection point. And what that means is this little piece on this inside here is 14 millimeters wide versus the opening on the actual pressure washer is 15 millimeters wide. So if you connect this, there's gonna be a millimeter of space, it's going to leak. Luckily, they make these little adapters, and basically this side is the M22 by 15. You attach that to the pressure washer like so, right? Just sits on there, screws on, and then now that is an M22 by 14 connection point coming out, so it's very easy for you just to replace the hose and screw this on there, and then you're good to go. Now, one last thing to talk about is the hose that it comes with. Not great, guys, 20 feet long, very, very thin diameter, but that's fine. It's, it's gonna get the job done. Yeah, I was just trying to do my normal test of this, and it kinked right away. It stays in the line. As you can see, it's just staying bent there. So not my favorite. I would recommend upgrading the hose for sure to an Uberflex or something along those lines where you don't have that problem of it kinking, right? It's super flexible. You can pinch it all the way down right there so it folds over on itself, but it doesn't kink, it doesn't stay in the line. So you don't have to worry about any pressure points or any failure like that over time. These things are fantastic. I absolutely love them. Now it comes with a 2-part pressure washer wand, and it is just a basic push in and turn type of a system. So not anything crazy. Sometimes, you know, it's actually screw in, which I prefer. But this is push in and turn, locks it in place, and then it's a variable trigger for the fan angle. So it goes from 0 degree, 15, and 40. Now that's a perfect situation if it's something that you really need to get on, like on your driveway. If there's gum or something stuck, you take that 0 degree, you blast it out of there. 15 is going to be more of a sweeping pattern, and then for your car, 40 degree is what I go with. So I think having those 3 options, it was a good choice by them. The pressure washer wand, again, the hose connection is right here in the front, which isn't my favorite because if you are working on a car, then the hose is in front and you could run the risk of it, you know, banging against the fender or something like that. But again, for around the house, shouldn't be an issue. It's not a big deal. So with all that said, guys, we're gonna go ahead and take this to the front of my shop. We're gonna start testing the real usable PSI and GPM on this thing, and also with the aftermarket hose and aftermarket wand to test and see if we can manipulate those numbers a little bit to cater to what exactly I would want, which is, you know, for washing cars. But that way we can get an idea of all the numbers. All right, guys, so I'm actually just moving this to the front of my shop. Just want to show you the length. I'm 6'2". My hand goes right down to it. When I pull it, it's a little bit low for me, but again, I'm 6'2", so I think the handle height is pretty much on par with any others that have a handle. So I have no issue with that, and I really, like I said, I like the fact that you can fold it down. However, guys, there's one thing I wanted to note, and I'll show you right here, is as I'm pulling this thing, look at the wheels. Can you see that? They're not moving. So they do move. They do move, but they're just on, I mean, maybe it's just my flooring, but obviously it's not on like a super nice bearing. It's not really moving very well for me. And really quickly, we're outside now on more of a textured surface, and now the wheels work. But again, they just weren't grabbing on my smooth floor. So keep that in mind. Let's go to a smooth concrete. Yeah, they're working. So just keep that in mind. If you're using it on a really smooth surface, those wheels are just gonna slide. They're not gonna turn. All right, guys, so unfortunately, I don't have all the connections for an M22 by 15 connection point to be able to run my PSI gauge. So what we're gonna do is just start with taking the GPM rating from this one, and then we'll switch over to the other hose. We'll find whatever GPM it was closest to that, and then we'll find out what the PSI is, because I'll be able to hook it up to this connection point still. I have enough connections for that, but not the rest. So let's go ahead and start with that. We're gonna test the GPM with 100% factory fittings. Okay, so as always, I'm gonna turn the water source on. Okay, so we have water going through the system, no leaks. Go ahead and pull the trigger and let all the air purge out of the line and the system so we don't have any issues with the motor. Let that purge out for a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and fire it on. So as you can see, it does have the total stop system. As soon as you release the trigger, it does turn off. Now I'm currently shooting at 15 degrees. Pressure feels pretty good. Let's go to 0 degree and let's go to the 40, okay? Nice little fan there. Consistent pressure all the way through the fan, which is nice. Now I am shooting and the spray pattern is coming out this way, and I want it to be more this way. So I'm gonna turn this and see if I can get that to change. Nope. Interesting, don't like that. Yeah, so unfortunately this fan's only spraying in a horizontal way for me. So if you're working on a car, you're gonna have to hold it sideways to get that nice vertical pattern. Again, not a huge deal breaker, but just something to know. I would prefer if it was shooting up and down. All right, guys, so I've got my bucket set up here. Gonna go ahead and run the timer for 1 minute, and we will know the gallons per minute that this thing's putting out. So here we go. All right, guys, so that's 1 minute. Let's go ahead and check and see where we're at. Now again, this has 3 different sizes of or 3 different spray patterns. I did it on the 40 because that way it gives me the most, if I'm using it at 0, it's just gonna splash out. So 40 degrees, typically if these are any different orifice sizes, 40 degrees would be the biggest one because that's the most flow at that point. But let's see here, we are at, wow, 5.5 quarts. And that comes in at 1.375 gallons per minute. This thing's rated at 1.4. User, differences and things like that, that is accurate, guys. With it being that close, I'm gonna say that's 100% accurate. Again, I wish I could test the PSI as is, but I can't. So let's go ahead and switch over to the other hose. We'll test the PSI ranges with some different tips, and then we'll test the GPM. Whatever GPM is at the 5.5 quarts or 1.37 GPM, we'll know that that's the PSI that we were getting with this. So let me go ahead and switch this up, and then we'll get started. All right, guys, so I have everything set up. I have a few different nozzles we're gonna test. This one is from a Ryobi. It's a 15-degree nozzle, and I think they're a 1.8 orifice, I believe, if I remember well. It doesn't say, but I think that's what it was. The orifice size is what matters. The fan does not matter when we're testing this stuff for the PSI and the GPM. It's just that little orifice size. So again, this one's 1.8, and then we'll go to a 2.5, and then we have a 3.0 and a 3.5. Again, doesn't matter if we're using a 15-degree or a 40-degree, that's gonna get the same GPM and PSI. Just depends on that little hole, which this one is 1.8, I believe. Let's go ahead and test it here, you guys. Here we go. So as you can see with this one, we're getting about 1800 PSI. However, I'm looking at my gauge here, testing the amperage reading, and it was above 17 amps. So that's definitely not the nozzle that it comes with. Even though we're getting that 1800 PSI, it's not supposed to be pulling that many amps, I don't think. So this is kind of a, just a consumer-based model. It's gonna run on a 15 amp breaker, it should, and that would definitely pop it running at that. So let's go ahead and move on. We're not even gonna test the GPM on this because it shouldn't be operating that high. So next up, we're going to the 2.5. And again, this is the 25-degree nozzle. Again, the degree of the nozzle does not matter. 2.5 is what matters. Let's go ahead and test it. And we're getting about 1250 PSI. As I'm gonna show you guys that, I'll be monitoring the amperage. Here we go. Okay, so with that one, we're getting that 1250 and running at about 14.35 or so amps. So that one's interesting. We'll go ahead and test the GPM on that right now. All right, so there is 1 minute. Again, we were operating right at that 1250 PSI. I was monitoring it as it was going. And yeah, we're at that 5.5 quarts. So 1.375 GPM, 1250 PSI is what we're getting. So I'm assuming with the one that this thing came with, that's what the actual orifice is about a 2.5. Now it does say 1850 PSI at initial discharge. Let's just check that. No, I don't see that, but I'm guessing, guys, again, this isn't 100% accurate because I don't have a way of testing the PSI from the original nozzle that it comes with, but based off the GPM that it's getting, it's the same GPM. Operating PSI is actually 1250. So when I'm using a pressure washer for detailing cars, I like to operate between usually about 1,000 to 1,200. So that 1250 on the 2.5 nozzle is a possibility. Let's go ahead and check this one now. This one is the 3.0 orifice nozzle. This is a 40-degree, but again, that does not matter. Let me test. All right, this is probably where I would go with it. We're getting 1,000 PSI and operating at about 12.6, 12.7 amps. Here you go. So there's that. Let's go ahead and test the GPM on this one now, because this, again, for me as a car detailer, as someone that's using this thing specifically to wash cars, this is the nozzle that I would be using. I would want more GPM out of this. So let's see what we're getting now. Again, with the original nozzle, we're getting 1.375 gallons per minute. All right, there is 1 minute, guys. And over that minute, I was monitoring the amperage readings again. And we're sitting, it kind of fluctuated, but it got up to 13 amps. That's pretty much where it averaged out at. 13 amps, 1,000 PSI. We are now at 6 quarts of water. So let me go ahead and calculate that. That pushes us up to 1.5 GPM. So not a bad unit, guys, for around the house, just kind of an all-around system. It's not getting the most PSI, most GPM, but you can't, it's efficient. I like the handle. It's not the strongest handle in the world, but I like that you can fold it away when you're not using it. I definitely like that a lot. And again, 1,000 PSI, 1.5 GPM, operating at about 13 amps. So those are the numbers that I personally would use it at. Let's, just for good measure, let's go ahead and test the 3.5 nozzle now. So again, we're back to a 25 degree now, but a 3.5 orifice. Yeah, and we're at 800 PSI now, so lower than I would want for any usable, anything usable here. 800 PSI. Still a decent amount of consistency through the fan pattern though. So just, again, for good measure, let's go ahead and test the GPM. 3.5 nozzle. The amperage reading is gonna be lower. I'll let you know what it is here as I'm monitoring it while this test is running. But here we go. All right, there's 1 minute. We were averaging 12.07 amps. Again, at 800 PSI. And for water now, we are at, I think we increased another, let me let this even out real quick so I can see better. Yeah, we're at 6.25 quarts, so not a huge increase in GPM. So definitely not enough to justify dropping it to 800 PSI. But just in case, let me go ahead and run the number, 1.562 gallons per minute. So my recommendation, guys, would be to go with the 3.0 nozzle. Again, 1000 PSI, 1.5 GPM, 13 point something amps. That would be my recommendation if you're gonna be using this for cars. And now, last but not least, we're gonna go ahead and check the decibel reading to see how loud this machine is. Typically 80 to 85 decibels is pretty normal. Somewhere right in that range. The lower in that range is obviously better than the higher. Let me go ahead and find my app real quick. Okay, so here's my decibel meter. Ambient noise. Average, it says 52. Okay guys, so now we're gonna go ahead and test the actual decibel reading of this. I usually stand about 3 feet away. Again, I'm not super scientific here, but about 3 feet away, point this as far away as I can so I'm not picking up this noise too much. Bouncing between 79 and 80, so that's good. I don't mind that at all. Again, this is with a 2.5 nozzle, which I think is equivalent to what the unit came with. Okay guys, so there it is. Decent numbers. It's, again, not the same quality as the other active products, for sure. In my recommendation, I'd still go with an active VE52 or the CAT 1800, which is the same. It's a smaller unit, no wheels, just a small little unit. Those things get fantastic performance numbers, a little bit more expensive, but again, really, really great. This one, performance is decent. It's nothing bad. The casing's nice. It looks really good. The handle, again, a little wobbly, but I really like the fact that you can store it away. I love that. The hose that it comes with, definitely not my favorite. 20 feet just isn't long enough to get anything done. And the quality of the hose does kink pretty easily. So I would recommend upgrading the hose, like I said. Just make sure you get that adapter if you're gonna be doing that. But other than that, if you're just looking for a basic unit that you can move around your house and get the job done, I like it. It's a decent little unit, and I do like the variable hose nozzle for that reason. So you're not having to constantly switch them out. Now again, for car detailing, actually this did okay. Again, I think it was about a 2.5. So it should be getting about 1250 PSI, and it got the 1.375 GPM, which is basically what this thing is rated at, which is the 1.4. Again, it's rated at 1850 PSI, but it does note at initial discharge. So the actual usable may be that 1250. Now I think this thing retails for about 180 bucks. So it's getting similar to performance though, just so you guys know, to like a Ryobi, to be perfectly honest, which you can get for 100 to 130 bucks, something like that, and get the same performance numbers. So keep that in mind. I think the CAT brand is typically located in stores in Canada. I don't know that for sure. I know the other one was. This one, I'm not sure if that's gonna be the case, but this is also available on Amazon. I'll have everything that I used linked down in the description below, as well as my recommendations. But that's it for this thing, guys. Now, in order for a chance to win this, again, they sent this to me. I don't need it. I just wanted to test it and actually see what the numbers were and give you guys my opinion on it. Again, if it was me personally buying a pressure washer for specific car detailing, I'd go with the other active or other CAT units, personally. Again, around the house, easy to store away, this is a decent unit for that. In order for a chance to win this, guys, go follow me on Instagram and make sure to comment on my post on Instagram as well as my post on YouTube. Now, I know some of you don't have Instagram, and I don't want to exclude you from this giveaway or your chance to win this thing. So what I'm going to do is I will be taking the comments from the Instagram, comments from the YouTube actual video, this video that you're watching, make sure to comment here as well. And I will just assign all those comments a number. I'll do a random selector and we'll choose a winner. Now the unit I'm giving away is this actual unit, the one that I tested, and with all the factory components that it came with. Now another disclaimer real quickly for the giveaway, guys. Every time I do a giveaway, there's people in the comments saying, oh, you won, text me at IMJOSHV at Telegram or whatever else. Those are not official winners. I'll reach out to you directly. I'll send you a personal one. It won't ask for anything. It won't ask you to cover the shipping. That's what the scam is on YouTube. People will comment and say, you won, but you have to pay X amount for shipping. Don't send anybody money. That's not how it goes. If you win, you don't have to pay anything. I'll send this unit out to you for free. And in order to win, guys, you do have to be in the US. Unfortunately, it's just for shipping for me. It's too difficult to deal with anything overseas or outside of the US. So have to be in the US for your chance to win, but good luck to all of you. Again, CAT 1850 PSI 1.4 GPM rated electric pressure washer from Active. That's it for today's video, guys. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you're subscribed, turn on that notification bell, and we will see you on the next one.